All right, good morning. Here we go. Good morning. It's a beautiful day in Milwaukee on November 21st. So here's the deal. Many people have asked, hey, we have a team meeting the week of Thanksgiving. You're right. We usually don't host team meeting the week of Thanksgiving. As I know, many people start traveling, there's a lot going on, and yet we're also in an unusual time. So unusual times create unusual team meetings. Make sense? Here's what you need to know. Today will be short and sweet. I have 2 seeds to plant with you. One of them you will need to know if you want to get paid on time. Make sense? Good accountability. If you want to get paid within what it is that you expect, we need a little help from you based on the way in which the tectonic plates beneath our feet are shifting as we speak. Cool? So Sheriff Reed's going to help break that down. All right, here we go. Jumping right into it. Mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspectives. And I've been on this theme, okay? To whom much is given, much is expected. And I talked 2 weeks ago as it relates to the gross commission income trends that this group is outperforming the market by 56%. And I have a challenge to the group. The challenge I gave was the United Way campaign. Why? Because it touches 72 partner organizations, and one of the 72 organizations is something that will touch that you're passionate about. And as of this morning, there were 14 people that have donated. There will be 600 people at the holiday party. If we get 100 people to donate $50, it's another $5,000 raised. And here's what I'm also going to do. I'll throw this out to anybody who participates in the United Way campaign. We will throw out an incredibly unique Bucks experience. Many of you have had the opportunity to sit in the seats that I give away often, and it's a great experience. And I will layer on top of that things that you won't have access to unless you donate to the United Way campaign. So I will provide you an incredibly unique experience, and we will raffle it off to those that choose to participate in the United Way campaign to help us get to where it is that we would desire to go, which is to raise $20,000. You feel me? So 14 for those 14 that have already donated, I sincerely appreciate what it is that you've given in terms of your treasure. And I believe that we can make a greater impact because I think that this group can do more and do better. And I know that because we've done it before very effectively at this time of year. So to whom much is given, much is expected. The challenge is out there. And one lucky participant for those who gets in the United Way campaign, maybe I'll break it up. Maybe I'll do 3 or 4. I'll see what my sources can help me source. But I'll provide you an incredibly unique experience. Cool? Beautiful. Here we go. A couple of organizational announcements. Second, one of the things that we've gotten many, many times, which we have not done very, very well at, is many people have said, hey, we would love the opportunity to create swag or the opportunity to personalize swag with my own logo on it. Cool. We offer that opportunity and we're providing it to you. And yet there isn't a ton of participation as it relates to this. Yet I've probably gotten this request more than anything we have at the KW World in terms of creating swag. So if you would like to order swag, the store is now open for another week until November 26th, which is next week, Monday. Beautiful thing about it, go ahead and order. It'll ship directly to you. It should be here by the holidays. If you're interested in creating custom swag for you, we've partnered with an incredible sidebar story, an incredible business out of Wisconsin Dells. The 2 guys that run it, I went to school with in Madison. One of them was a Wisconsin basketball manager with me. Totally random sidebar story. And his sister-in-law married Nikki Kunick's brother. And all of a sudden we said, hey, we need a swag store. So that's how it came about. So if you're interested in swag, here you go. Here's the order. Next up, a couple important announcements just so you guys are paying attention. Offices will be closed this week, Thursday and Friday for the Thanksgiving holiday. If you need to access any of the offices, you can do so 24 hours a day, 7 days a week via your fob. Now, in the effort to be proactive and plan ahead, here is the holiday. Oh, and there's no team meeting next week, just as a reminder, post Thanksgiving. But in an effort to plan ahead, here is the way in which that our office hours will be run through the end of the year. So a few things just to call out. On December 1st, offices will close at 3 p.m. as we plan for what I would consider to be the annual wedding that we host. Holiday party will be, or the offices will be closed at 3 p.m. because the holiday party will be downtown at the St. Kate at 6 p.m. Now, a couple other things to note as it relates to as we get closer to the end of the year. Friday, December 22nd, we will close the offices at noon. Typically, December 24th and December 25th, the offices are closed. However, the 24th this year is on a Sunday. So we are going to close the offices on the 26th. So Monday, the 25th and Tuesday, the 26th, the offices will be closed. And then the following week is Monday, January 1st, the office will be closed. Make sense? Trying to get proactive in advance so that you guys can plan ahead accordingly, just with the way in which the holidays are falling this year, with Christmas Eve on a Sunday and New Year's Eve on a Sunday. It just creates a little wonkiness in the way we have to kind of set up the schedule. Yes.
One comment, this is the last meeting before the holiday party.
Yes.
Just a comment on stayovers, whoever wants to stay at the hotel. I'm staying. Interested in coffee the next morning, we'll hardly rehash. Stay overnight.
So, Maureen, just to reiterate what Maureen said, for those that decided to take an effective risk mitigation strategy and booked a hotel room downtown, I know that, and there are others that are staying in other hotels too, that she's hosting coffee in the lobby of the St. Kate on the morning of Saturday, December 2nd, in the event that you want to stay over and rehash whatever it is that you saw from the night before. All right, here we go. So here's one of the two seeds that I will plant with you. Today is what? Tuesday. What is the date? November 21st. Okay. Tuesday, November 21st. The 21st means profit share was deposited into many people's bank accounts this morning. And the question I would pose to you as it relates to profit share is, what is the most profitable business model in which that you can run? Repeat and referral business. Repeat and referral business. Why? It costs you nothing from a capital outlay other than your time, energy, and attention investing in others. Okay. And what you need to know as it relates to passive income is I want you to consider this. A savings account right now, in a bad year, right now you can get CDs up to 5%. In a bad year, you're getting about a 1% return. The S&P 500 since inception is an average of a 10% return. So in a savings account, you'd have to invest $2.5 million to make $25,000, or as little as $200,000 to make $2,000 a year and an annualized return of 1%. That's what most savings accounts are in your bank. The S&P 500, the average return since its inception in 1928 is a 10% return. In order to see a 10% return, in order to make 25,000, you'd have to invest 250K. In order to make 10K, you'd have to invest 100,000. And in order to make $2,000, you'd have to invest 20,000. And so my question to you is, if you don't have the monetary capital, how do you create passive income in order to see an effective 10% return? You invest in human capital via profit share through the relationships that you have and the way in which that you show up when you're co-brokes. So many people have asked, like, what does this mean and how do I earn it? Here's basic math for you as it goes 7 layers deep, but I'll give you the first layer. If you recruit someone over $3 million, let me rephrase that. If you attract someone into the business model over $3 million, you're going to get about a $2,400 return on an annualized basis per person. If you recruit someone or attract someone who is a $1.8 million producer, you can expect to return $1,200 just in your first line. And if it's someone who joins a team, you're going to get about an $800 return, right? I just looked at this yesterday. We have, I think it's 8 people who make over $40,000, 15 people who make over $20,000, and an inordinate amount of people who make more in profit share than what they contribute to their cap. And that includes team members, right? A team member cap of $8,000. And then they're going to get more than $8,000 in return. So they're effectively being paid to be a member in the KW community. And you only have to have 1 to 2 people in order to see effective returns like this. As I mentioned, there's 7 layers to the profit share tree. So as you attract people, what we found is you attract 4, those 4 attract another 4, those 4 attract another 4, and it compounds pretty quickly. There's an incredible way in which that you invest in relationships to see a return that costs you nothing other than your time and being an incredible person. One of the questions I get often is, how do I start the conversation? What does it look like? And I'll tell you, this is the way in which it goes. It goes, where are you now? Where are you going? And what's your gap? And the question I always ask someone in terms of what their gap is, why haven't you done it yet? And the key to the conversation is not about what it is that we do. The key to the conversation is about what it is that they are missing and how we help them identify what they're missing by coaching them and consulting them, and how we help them understand how through a KW partnership, we can help them close their gap. It has nothing to do about a KW pitch. It makes it all about the individual. And those that do it at the highest level are those that are seeing the highest returns on their investment. Right? And so as I sit here on November 21st, my question for you heading into 2024 is, what is your passive income goal that doesn't require you to put forth any sort of capital? How can you achieve it via profit share? And how do you do so by investing in relationships? Because today we deposited almost $62,000 in people's bank accounts. Year to date, we will have deposited $777,000 in profit share just in this year. Since inception 10 years ago in the KW community, it's north of like $3 to $4 million that we've paid out in profit share. So it's something you should be considering as that you sit here and we think about what are passive income goals and how you leverage your relationships and reputation in order to help you create a passive income opportunity, because it's incredibly powerful for those that are taking advantage of it. And the stories that come from it are absolutely incredible. From the way in which that it's helped people get out of debt, from the way in which that it's helped people pay for a kid's college education, from a way in which that it's helped someone buy the convertible they've always wanted, right? Whatever it is that you decide to do with the money is totally your choice. And yet it has a powerful impact on you and your family. Cool? All right. With that, also related to money and the way in which that you earn your income, I'm going to invite Sheriff Reed on to talk about, if you want to get paid, what it is that we will need from you and updated disclosures as it relates to the tectonic plates that are shifting below our feet. Sheriff Reed, it's up. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Charlie. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, you certainly have heard about the new addendums coming out, the buyer agency new addendum and the listing new addendum. It's those clients that we get, and we have to add these 2 new addendums to either the buyer agency or the listing agreement. Actually, I made a mistake on that slide. It's the listing agreement and the CBA, the buyer agency agreement. That's where our clients, our fiduciary relationship comes in. And because of the unsettling of lawsuits across the country and involvement with the National Association of Realtors, we decided to take a proactive stance and make sure that our agents, in talking to our clients and our clients to be, are very transparent about the commission that we earn. It is going to be, the WRA has put out their forms. They're going to be changing the buyer agency agreement and the listing agreement in January. But in the meantime, they had a temporary addendum C that they were talking about. We decided to run it past our attorney, Peter Zaroff, and he drafted 2 addendums so that he thinks that they're clearer and more accessible to get a client's understanding. So that's what we're going about, and that's what Charlie's talking about, these 2 new addendums. When you turn in a buyer agency, when you turn in a listing, they have to be attached and initialed by your new client. So effective immediately, and it certainly doesn't go to past listings or buyer agencies. These are to be attached to the listing contract, buyer agency, and initialed. The initialed form stays with your client, and we keep a file with the firm in your command. So it doesn't go outside of the company, but it is something that is initial between our client and us. Okay. But in the spirit of transparency, when you are talking to your buyer or talking to your new seller, you are explaining these reviews. If you're in the buyer agency agreement, you ask the buyer to initial the addendum CBA. You have to explain that our services are not free. A lot of times the misconception was, oh, I can get a buyer's agent and I don't have to pay him anything. You have to reiterate the fact that real estate services are not free, and we are being compensated a commission for the work that we do to represent the buyer. The buyer's agreeing to pay our firm a commission, and the buyer's firm may be paid by the seller and the listing firm. If you're dealing with any properties that are listed in MLS, you're getting that mutual compensation from the listing firm, from the seller, to pay the buyer's agent. If there is no compensation plan in place, say as in a for sale by owner, you have to work with the seller on behalf of the buyer to get your commission paid, or the buyer will be responsible for paying your commission if the seller does not cooperate. And you have to also explain that in buyer agency, there's no standard commission rate, that commissions by its definition are negotiable. If you're executing the listing contract and sitting with the seller, seller has to initial the addendum CL, commission listing. All commissions are negotiable, and you make sure that your client is aware of that, and there is no standard commission rate. You don't say, well, this is what everybody chooses, the 6%, or this is what our firm makes us charge 6%. Those are violations of the rules of what a commission is. A commission is negotiable, and it's a discussion that you and your client need to have. Our listing agreement includes an offer of compensation included in the total commission and is not additional commission. Sometimes sellers are confused that the 6% or the commission that we are getting earned is in addition to what they're getting in their proceeds. It is part of their the total commission, what we pay out to the co-broke, and what we receive in our firm. The decision to include an offer of compensation and the amount is negotiable. So those are pointers on how you talk to the clients. If you want some one-on-one role play or script ideas in presenting these to a new buyer or to a new seller, Steph and I'd be more than happy to help. Okay, and go to the next slide. So when you get these documents initialed, they are to be sent into command in your opportunities, and it is going to be a required review from Kimmy Herbert, who does the compliance review for all of our contracts. So she'll be looking for this addendum in your listing contract and in your buyer agency contract. She's already got the placeholders in place, and she will be sending you an email if you don't include it. If you want to be paid, as Charlie said, this is required for any agency agreements executed November 17th and on. There is not a requirement, and I got this question several times yesterday, to go back to existing buyer and seller clients. So going forward, actually November 17th forward is when we're going to start requiring these addendum. So the next slide is actually a copy of what the buyer agency commission transparency, that's the buzzword, looks like. You put in the date, you put in the name of your buyer, and then please do not edit any other lines in this, but just make sure that you're communicating this clearly to your new buyer, and then the initial at the bottom. And the next slide is a copy of what the CL is, the commission listing transparency. You put in the date and the seller's name and the address of the property you're going to be listing. And again, it goes through those same steps that I just reiterated, talking about the commission in this agreement has been negotiated and agreed upon by the parties to this agreement. Those commissions can be found, and they talk about what lines in the listing contract and what lines in the condo, residential and condo. At the bottom of this sheet, it also gives the lines that it's found in the other listing contracts that we use, the farm, vacant land, and those so far. And then it says, please carefully review these lines prior to signing this. Again, this is where you have the discussion with your seller. The amount of offer of compensation is not an additional commission, but paid to another firm from the commission warrant earned by your agent. And the decision to make an offer of compensation and the amount is negotiable, and we have agreed to the amount stated in your agreement. And it says what that commission is. And then there's a place for them to initial. There is no standard market rate, commission rate. Make sure that you clarify that when you're talking. I've heard agents say in the past, well, my firm tells me I have to list it at this, or my broker tells me I have to list it at this, or this is standard in our area that all listings are charging this. You cannot say that. This is a negotiable item between you and your new-to-be client, and you have to show your value and your worth in getting the highest commission earned. If there are any questions, Steph is out for the rest of the week, but if you have any questions, if you've got a buyer agency agreement coming up and you still want to talk about this, please feel free to call me. And then Steph and I'll be willing to help next week if you have any dialogue questions, script questions. We might be having a special contract training on how to talk to your clients.
Sheriff Reed,
Joni, oh,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Can I ask a question now, or should I handle this separately with Joan?
Yeah, it's up to Charlie and his schedule here.
Yeah,
Robin, why don't you drop it into the chat section?
okay, will do.
If it's individualized, I'll have Joan follow up with you today.
Okay, no, it's actually for the whole group. I'm sure it might help, but I'll chat. Thank you.
Go ahead, Robin.
Good.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, if there is no standard anymore, no flat out 6%, 7, 8, I'm just curious, then as, you know, as brokers here, what is everyone going to, how is that dialogue gonna go with their clients?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because that's pretty key. There never has been a standard. And I think this whole idea of transparency is what we're trying to get across to the public who is entreating us with their sale of their property or buying their property. There has never been a standard of it. There is a common rate that is used, but it is not a standard. It is not mandatory. And actually, what you want to do when you're talking and negotiating with your new client is to show what you can do for them, prove your value, and then show what you're worth. If you want to say that I feel I can do this for 6%, and include all of the marketing, all of the work that you're going to do, all of the research, that's when you need to prove your value and talk about, I want to go for 6%. I had an agent before who got every single listing at 7%. That was their goal, and she did it. I mean, it was incredible. There are cases when we're in competition, we have to do it at 5%, 4.5%. There are instances on a short sale where we're mandated by a bank on what we have to charge. But in all of these cases, generally, commissions are negotiable, and that has to be a phrase in the back of your head at all times.
I think, Robin, just to expound upon your question, it is not illegal for you to have a standard from which that you will decide to take work on from. And how you set that standard is how you articulate your value in order for you to receive the offer of compensation that you believe to be fair within the marketplace. So you, as someone who is executing legal documents, cannot work for free. And the standard in which that you will set in order to do the business moving forward is important distinction. There's another question as it relates to Brian Pat asked, is it put us at a competitive disadvantage? The competitive disadvantage, no, it's every firm in the city, probably quite frankly in the country, is trying to figure out how they're updating these forms and rolling them out to be proactive in response to precedent that is being set. So this is the way in which it'll work today. And I'll be honest with you, it's an incredibly fluid situation and it may change 60 days from now, right?
Hey, Charlie.
Yes.
My question was more temporal on that, meaning since we're sort of taking the lead here and getting amendments out before the WRA has issued them, specifically with the buyer agency one, not so much with the listing one. If we go in and we say, yeah, there's not going to be a standard, so you have to basically pony up, we wouldn't use that language, but if they're not contributing as a co-broke to us, and others are out there saying, yeah, no decision's been made by my brokerage, aren't we in a bad situation by going out there before everyone else?
To clarify, these are WRA documents that we took further clarity to in separating the listing side and the buyer side for more transparency. So these are WRA documents. We just split them into two for further ease of understanding from a client's perspective.
Right. And I also want to add, again, there never has been a standard commission rate. And there really is no change with these addendums other than we're getting the client to acknowledge that commissions are negotiable, that we are not mandating by a firm or by a large company on what we're to charge. They are negotiable.
Oh, I get that. I think everyone gets that. The question is basically, I mean, this is just a guess by you guys, but when do we see adoption across our area by the majority or all of the brokerages? Because if we're the only ones out there pushing this right now, the agents are just going to take what they hear from their broker, which is, yeah, we're still working on how we're going to roll this out. And if they come and they talk to us, especially someone that comes in through, say, an internet lead or something like that. Yeah.
I would foresee that you'll see a change in the marketplace very soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Stay
That's
tuned.
my biggest concern with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
WRA is actually going to be putting out, as I said, new buyer agency agreements and new listing contracts, probably at the beginning of next year. So,
Okay.
So real quick to clarify, and then I'm going to move on from this because this will take a lot of questions. Also, I'd encourage you to attend Monday at noon. We have contract training every Monday. Yesterday, 70 people attended, 70 to ask individualized questions as it relates to these amendments. So I'd encourage you to participate in that way to help individualize questions as well. So we're working on it. It's an incredibly fluid situation. The legal matters as it relates to how our industry is shifting, is changing every day, and new guidance is coming out every day. We're trying to be proactive to it. Risk mitigation seems to be a theme of mine lately, and know that we're trying to get ahead of it for you and with you. And we'll continuously update you as we get more information as it relates to legal matters. One common question I have gotten is commission reductions in terms of the firm standard has not changed in terms of our process. So the process is the process. If you have questions related to it, feel free to reach out to Joan or Steph or any of the team leaders within the unique locations. Cool. Beautiful. All right. wrapping it up for Thanksgiving week with upcoming trainings and events. Just as a reminder, offices close at noon on Wednesday. They're closed Thursday and Friday, and then there is no team meeting next week, Tuesday, the 28th, following Thanksgiving. Just as a reminder there. December training calendar, lots to go over, things to come up. A few things to call out. Aligned Showings is starting to roll out. We talked about this on a team meeting several months ago as it relates to the transition away from showing time into Aligned Showings, which is held by which is wholly owned by Metro MLS. We will have the MLS on contract training Monday at noon, December 4th. Okay. Also, December 7th, we have an incredible panel of people that we're bringing to you in Milwaukee from 9 to noon down at the War Memorial on the lakefront. Feel free to register today. It should be an incredible event to pour into you as we help you kick off 2024 and how you start to think about, if you haven't already, what it is that you want your brand to say, how you begin to plan for it, and what it is that you plan to do. Cool. Next up, family reunion, incredible lineup of speakers. If you haven't registered yet to join us in Vegas, we'd encourage you to do so. Sweet. All right, guys, I'll leave you with this. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday of the year. Okay. It's my favorite, quite frankly, it's my favorite week of the year. It's my favorite week of the year. You want to know why? It has nothing to do with material items and everything to do with how you are present with those that you love. Right? And whether it's you go out on Wednesday night, like some of us choose to, the night before Thanksgiving, and you're present with those who you love, or how you spend your Thursday, or how you spend your Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's the best week of the year. I would encourage you. The challenge I have for you is how you be present in the moment, which I think is incredibly challenging right now. How you be present and spend the time with those that you love, and how you spend your time, where you spend your time, and who you spend your time. It's your most scarce resource. Embrace it this week, make good decisions, and we will talk to you in a few weeks. Guys, thanks for showing up. Have a great Thanksgiving.